call the joint caucus to order. It's 5:32, Monday the 21st. Roll call. I'm just going to read off the names I see on the screen. Kevin McCarthy, Brad Landmark, Keith McDonald.
Yep.
Dave Kelly.
Here.
Jim Webster.
Here.
Aaron Booker. Joe Hoffman.
Here.
Dean Crosby.
Here.
John Butita.
Here.
Jazz Billage.
Here.
Tim Neighbors.
Here.
Fred Westcott.
Here.
Steve Schultz.
Here.
Dave Tassoni.
Present.
Dorothy Red.
Present.
Jaime Salgado.
Present.
Angie Gorel.
She's here someplace.
Yeah. Well,
Present. Sorry.
hi, Angie. Angela
there.
Fellows.
Present.
And Paul Arena from the board. And then also joining us tonight is Chairman Shirelli. And who else I see? Rick Saganek. And am I missing someone? No, those are our two guests.
Did you get me?
Pardon me?
You got Aaron Booker, right?
Yeah, I got Aaron Booker. I didn't miss anyone else, did I? Okay. All right, so we have the roll call, and with that, we can begin going through the board agenda for the meeting. I think the first committee that I saw, I was trying to print it off before the meeting, but I had a problem, so I'm going to have to find it on my phone, but I believe it's finance, correct?
Yes,
Mr.
that's correct.
Can you?
Yes, that's correct.
Can you go
Yeah,
over
the only item we have for this coming meeting tomorrow is the appellate court portion that we supplement with the state. It's about $42,000. That's in an annual budget that we have that already. So it's just the appellate piece of it. One of the questions that was brought up, and hopefully we can get an answer to see how many cases actually go through the process, to see whether it's cost beneficial for us to keep funding it. But it is our portion, the $42,000 going forward. It's annually budgeted for that. So that's the only item that we have the resolution for. So more to come on that. Hopefully we can get an answer from Charlotte by tomorrow, but haven't heard anything from that. But that's really the only item that's going to get passed through the board tomorrow.
If we don't get an answer, do you intend to just move forward with it, or is it something that
Yeah.
we have an answer?
Yeah, I
before?
think it's more important. We've done this, I don't know how many years and consecutively. So I think it needs to move forward. However, it does beg the question to see how many cases actually, are used, to see if there's a cost benefit approach of funding this $42,000 position that, the state and ourselves pay for. So it's just trying to figure out, is this a cost benefit portion of it going forward? But from this perspective, we'll push it through. And then if, obviously if there are some issues where we're not, using it to the full extent, then we should probably look at, cutting that portion out.
Okay, Mr. Kelly?
Thank you, Chairman. We've been doing that as long as I've been on the board, and this is my 8th year.
Yep.
I think it's a good deal. $40,000 is spit in the ocean when it comes to legal fees.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Crosby, did you have your hand up? Okay. All right, were there any other questions on that matter? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Zoning Committee, Mr. Webster, I see there's no items. Is anything you want to share?
No, we have nothing going on at zoning right now.
Okay. Economic Development, Mr. Billich.
We have nothing at the moment on the agenda. We do have a few items that weren't ready in time for having it ready for this week. So therefore, we didn't want to put another, or for this last week. So we didn't want to put another meeting this week. But as soon as we get back on schedule, as soon as they're ready, we're going to have a meeting for that. But for now, nothing, no report.
Okay. Operations, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Operations got one resolution for tomorrow night. It's all in a renewal agreement with Voya Financial. It's a stop loss policy. We are self-insured, and up to, I think it was $250,000. And after that, the stop loss kicks in and helps us out. It did pass committee unanimously, if I remember properly. The question that was brought up, though, I think I asked it, was when's the last time we shopped and when's the last time we looked at other brokers? Somebody else asked about the brokers, but what I wanted to know is it still cost effective to be self-insured? Because this stopgap insurance at the board agenda, but I think it was to the tune of $1.3 million. So I'm curious how close to that would be to actually just paying for health insurance instead of. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. McDonald? Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. Keith, this is mainly due, the big increases primarily due to our experience. We had a lot of high cost claims. Is that correct?
Yes, we did. And something else we learned about in committee is was apparently called laser. So we had one individual that had very, very high medical costs that our stopgap insurance decided not to pay on that person. So it doesn't sound like a good system to me. I understand it's been in place for a long time, but I would look forward to HR or the administration take a look at what other options are out there to make sure we're getting our best bang for the buck.
Ms. Fowlers?
I had a question for Mr. McDonald. Mr. McDonald, I agree with you. It seems like that the system might be a little flawed. Were you able to get clarification on what triggered a laser or what in our policy allowed them to do that?
It is written into the policy. It is not an unusual situation, but as far as HIPAA laws, so I wasn't able to get any exact things that had happened, but I was told that this is not uncommon for them to laser one case.
May I follow up?
Yes, please go ahead.
Mr. McDonald, are there any, like, is there like a list of how they make that decision? Is it arbitrary or is it in our contract? I'm asking out of genuine curiosity. Is there anything in our contract that says if it hits this amount or if it scores on a certain scoring system? It just seems kind of arbitrary. And that's my question for clarification.
No, I very much agree with you. I do not have the answer that you're asking about. Something to look into. I think it was Charlotte last week said this is standard, this is typical, and maybe what's her name from HR? She had said this is the same thing we've been doing, which there's no first answer, and that's the way we've always done. So that's why we've asked for people to dive into it. I think Mr. Schultz had quite a bit to contribute that night as well. As he has had.
May I speak, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Schultz.
So, yeah, my experience with the lasers is when they have a combination of already paying very large amounts out of pocket for the care of a particular individual, along with a grave and expensive diagnosis. So they're anticipating not only has this person already incurred exceptionally large claims, but the condition that they have and the diagnosis going forward is going to be a hundreds of thousands of dollars kind of scenario.
Good.
So, and what was said at the meeting and what I think is typical is the insurance company has the ability at their discretion upon renewal to laser out anybody. And there's the difficulty that we have in this case, which is where you really hope the broker has done their job, is that of the 5 companies that they put it out for bid to, this is the only company that would actually bid the job, that would actually give us a quote of any kind. And that's problematic, obviously, because without any competition, then, you're taking what you can get.
And if I could point out too, this is a 1-year agreement, and I'm hoping we have a better planning for next year's agreement, if this route.
Anything further on this topic? Okay. Then, before we move on from operations, I just wanted to ask Mr. McDonald if we could get a update in the near future on the status of Prairie Forge and finishing their work. Maybe
Yes.
your meeting, we could put it on the agenda.
Yep, I will do that, Mr. Arena. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works, Mr. Tassoni.
Thank you, Chairman. Your Public Works Committee will have, looks like 5 resolutions tomorrow evening. The first 2, I'll abbreviate a little bit here, but the first 2 are in regard to deductions and costs for, the first one would be a deduction in costs for the resurfacing of Kishwaukee Road down south of the airport. It's a deduction of $129,000 and some change. The second would be a deduction of $23,000 and some change for out on Montague Road. Basically, those deductions are, from the engineering initial cost estimates, at least less quantities, less scope of work and such. The third item, and just on the opposite of that would be an addition, an increase in cost of $50,000 for a project over on Guilford Road. Like I say, in road construction and various things, just like maybe something like a remodel on your house. Once you dig into it, you see there's some other things that need to be done. So that was a $50,000 addition. The fourth item is $595,000. It's a resolution authorizing supplemental appropriations of MFT funds. And this is just in addition to things that maybe weren't pointed out in the beginning of the year. It's an annual housekeeping thing. We do this every year during the construction season. These are other things that weren't included in the initial general letting. The final item is a resolution declaring surplus highway vehicles. It's an annual thing we do so that our purchasing department can either auction or sell various items, the county highway department, that are no longer needed. If anybody needs any more detail on those items, I'd be happy to explain.
Okay, is there any questions or discussions on any of the Public Works items? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Public Safety and Judiciary Committee, Mr. Girl's not with us tonight. Mr. Booker, are you aware of anything coming up on Public Safety and Judiciary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I am not aware of anything. It looks like we have no report this week.
Thank you. Okay, and then if briefly, I'll just update. We had a housing subcommittee the other day to talk about the trustee program, and just the highlights of that, I think, are I don't have the notes here. We had the accounting of one of the sales, which generated in the neighborhood of $350,000 in sales. The second sale generated about $700,000 in sales. From the accounting that was as of the end of September, there was approximately $44,000 in legal expenses that were incurred, $110,000 approximately of expenses for property maintenance. The program is budgeted for $150,000 a year, so it came in under budget on that. The outstanding issues that we need to address in the near future are we never established a joint account for the money that's accumulated from sales for our I can't remember. We have a term for the account in the IGA. I don't recall what it is, but anyway, the IGA was written to have that account be in the treasurer's name and in the trustee's name. And that didn't happen. And based on the conversation we had that night, we felt it was more appropriate for to establish that account in the county's name and have our new CFO provide oversight to it rather than the treasurer. And I think everyone was in agreement that that would be a good idea. So that's one issue that I think we'll move forward on correcting. The other issue that was outstanding from the conversation was this idea of rejecting buyers. In our agreement that we passed, it was the idea was that if buyers were to be rejected, it would be done in an open meeting where the person being rejected would have a chance to, speak in their defense. It would be clear what the reasons were. That did not happen. The way Region 1 circumvented that requirement was that the IGA currently reads that if a buyer is going to be rejected, the highest bidder would be rejected and sold to the next highest bidder, they would come to the board. And so what they did is they just rejected the highest bidder with consultation, I believe, with Chairman Haney at the time, and then just didn't sell the property, just left it in the program, and then put it up for sale again through this next transaction. So the concern that I have, and I think there was some agreement, is it exposes us to fair housing violations if we don't have a consistent standard that we're using for who can buy and what reasons. And I believe that we should change that provision in the IGA to just create a standard similar to possibly what Michigan does, where they just, I'd say if you're delinquent on other properties, tax delinquent on other properties in the county, or have a outstanding code violation fines that are unpaid, that you're an ineligible buyer, and therefore there's no need for have this like public hearing on the matter. The other solution, I guess, would be to firm up that language and require that when buyers are rejected, that we have a public hearing. But that's one of the issues that still needs to be resolved with the program. Was anyone have any questions about that? Mr. Webster.
Okay, not so much a question as a comment. I'm glad you're still working on this. This whole program is something new to us. And so I think as it evolves even more naturally, there's going to be some adjustments, tweaks to be made to it there. And until we get it hammered down perfectly like we'd like to see it work. And I think that having one person being able to say no or to reject things is totally wrong. And so to bring it before the committee is the proper way to do it. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Webster. And I also want to add that Mr. Salgado had wanted a couple questions answered at the meeting. One being, how can we access a list of properties that are in that the trustee has deed to? And the other question was about the bidding process, to get an explanation of the bidding process. Now, Mr. Dunn wants to work all the communication through Chairman Shirelli. So Chairman Shirelli is going to get the questions of board members to Mr. Dunn and then see to it that they get answered. So Mr. Salgado, that's going to happen with your questions. And then to any other board member who has a question that we don't already have answers to, that you want to get information from Mr. Dunn, if you submit it directly to Mr. Chairman Shirelli, he'll see to it that it gets communicated and that we get responses to it. So the next time we meet, hopefully we can have an answer to Mr. Salgado's question. I talked to a person who was a buyer at the program, and he had questions about how, I guess currently if you want to adjust your bid, you have to go in and rebid. And he thought it'd be better if you could just go in and amend your bidding price. So that was a suggestion that we'll just pass along. Anyway, it's going to be an ongoing issue that we address.
Mr. Arena?
Yes, go ahead, Angie.
What I want to just clarify what you just said. Yeah, I would like to know all the properties that are on the list to be sold. And I also would like to see the list of what has been sold. So are you referring to what has been sold, the list would go through Mr. Torelli, or would it be all of the properties that are listed?
Chairman Shirelli was going to get our questions answered, just be a conduit for information so that we could find out what we need to know about the program. But I think Mr. Salgado's question is he wants to be able, if a constituent calls him up and says, hey, here's 123 Main Street, is it in the, does the trustee have deed to this property? Then we need to be able to just go online someplace like in an Excel spreadsheet and just type in 123 Main Street and have it pop up and identify whether or not it's in the program.
You should
Right.
be able to. You should be able to go into Winnebago County Assessor's Office and find out that information too. It's public information, and that's how I got the whole list of what was out there. Was because you go in under Winnebago County to see what properties that we have that. And that's all you have to do. And with Winnebago County, I think it's trustee or just Winnebago County, and you can get the whole list. So, I mean, it is available. We need to talk to our township assessor and let us know how we can assess that, because it is all public information.
Right, but I think in the case that Mr. Salgado relayed to me, he tried that and he called Mr. Setter and Mr. Dunn, I can't remember who, and they were told and was told that the property in question had been deeded over to the city. So
Okay, so that has been deeded to the city.
that's
So
what he was
that-
told, but I don't know that's what the information reflected on the website. So that's why I
That's
think
correct.
we need to have somebody from the program join us
Thank
to answer that.
Yeah, and just Mr. Arena, if I may.
Go ahead, please go ahead.
Yeah, and just there's a couple properties that have occurred like that, especially in my district. Big commercial building and some other kind of like in the limbo. It's not really part of the county. It's not part of the city, so it's kind of in the gray area. And so one of the properties I looked up, it said that it was regional plan. And then I contacted Mr. Setter and Mr. Dunn, and they told me that they were in the process of actually deeding it out to the city, that they already had some arrangement because it was essentially a blight property. They had an investor that was actually going to get it up to par. So then, it would be cleaned out, no garbage and all that other stuff. So, it's like I went through hoops and holes kind of answer some of the questions of the constituent, even the Mr. Flores at the city legal department kind of let me know what was going on with the process. But, it's just very hard for me to kind of reach out. And I feel kind of like I'm kind of reaching out to multiple sources. So, and then it just becomes a snowball. Like I got 10 people replying to an email and then I'm getting a different story. So it's just hard from that picture, but it'd be kind of good to get a sense and idea, which properties are in gray. So if they are, so we're in the process of actually addressing those questions or concerns from constituents and actually reporting it out to the right, whether it's city, whether it's the regional plan, whoever it is. It just makes it a little bit more cleaner from my perspective. And that's what I've experienced. And that's why I kind of asked that question. And I know Mr. Dunn was pretty good about giving an explanation of what actually transpired. And it's been resolved ever since, but just those are the issues that I'm coming across.
And to just kind of piggyback on that, this whole, what occurred there, I don't know if we have a really transparent process about deeding properties over to other entities. The purpose of the program is to, recover tax money for the taxing districts. So I don't think we should, I know we've done some kind of changes in philosophy with this maintenance and using it as a way to address blight, which is a good thing. But at the same time, we need to keep track of who's making decisions on properties that are going to get deeded out or not going to go to bid, how that's happening, how we keep records of what happened in those situations. So I believe those decisions were probably made with the prior chairman, and I don't know what records we have of that type of stuff. So those are things that we just need to hammer down. Mr. Chairman Chiarelli, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple things. When I spoke to Mr. Dunn after your housing committee, I made it perfectly clear to him that any correspondence that comes to me from the board members, he needs to respond to them. If in the agreement with the county board and the agent for the trustee, if there's any confusion on that who he's supposed to report to or who the county board's supposed to report to, I just want everybody to know here, it's going to be full transparency. If there's any issues going on in your districts that are related to the trustee program or any program, please reach out to me. I'll get those answers. Apparently with the agreement the county board signed with the agent, Michael Dunn Jr. and his R1PC, that was the agreement that was voted on for that they would report to the chairman. So I made it perfectly clear to him that, you know, we're one team here. So anything that comes through him to me, I'm going to present to the housing committee or to the caucus chairs. I want this to be full transparency here. And on the issue of the rejections or the recommended rejections from the other municipalities, what I would like to do without approving that or disapproving that, I want to be able to bring that to the housing committee, Mr. Arena. This way everybody knows what's going on with these, because apparently that's the way it's set up in the current agreement. But that doesn't mean I will just go ahead and sign those or hold those deeds back. I want it to be fully transparent with this board. So just know that that's what I'm going to be doing with it until we get language corrected or other agreements in place.
Okay.
Because it did occur with the past chairman. There were requests to hold back and not sell those properties, and he did hold them back. So what transpired after that, I'm not sure myself. What agreements the past chairman had with the trustee. But I can tell you, Michael Dunn Jr. as agent for this, the trustee, he wants full transparency also. So we're going to work out these issues, and we need to do that as an organization to better this organization. So you have my full cooperation on that.
Thank you, Chairman Chiarelli.
You're welcome.
Any more conversation or questions about the trustee program? Okay, seeing none. There must have been some miscommunication with Alan Zeiss from the Winnebago County Housing Authority. The reason we did a joint caucus is they were going to come in and just give an explanation briefly about their intention to change their name to better reflect the scope of the work that they do right now. He wants to announce that sometime in January, so he wanted to just, as a courtesy, talk to the board first. When I talked to him about it, I asked him if they, if they're going to move away from the name Winnebago County Housing Authority, what does that mean? We appoint the board of the Winnebago County Housing Authority, and we still will with the name change. We do not contribute any money to it. Mr. Zeiss said that they actually are a taxpayer. They're not receiving any funding from the county. And I think their work now incorporates a larger area. They manage the housing authority in Stevenson County and in Boone County and possibly broader than that. So I don't recall what name that he was talking about doing, but it reflected more of a regional approach to Northern Illinois. I don't know, Mr. Westcott, do you have anything to add to that? Do you recall the name or where that's going? No, possibly Mr. Westcott stepped away. I don't see him. He's muted. So, Chairman Chiarelli, go ahead.
I'm here.
Oh, here's Mr. Westcott.
Yeah, I haven't got any information yet, but I can call Alan in the morning and get some information for tomorrow night if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. Maybe we could just mention it tomorrow at the meeting.
Yeah, I'll do that, and I'll get any information I can on the name, structure, and whatever's going on with it. The reason that they did want to change the name was the fact that we do go in a larger area now. Like what you had just said there. Plus, we have some places out in California even that we structure.
Wow.
So I'll get the information for you, and we'll bring it to the meeting tomorrow night.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Westcott. Chairman
My
Shirley.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Just quickly, yeah, when Alan called me a couple of weeks ago, he had brought up that they were going to announce the rebranding, the new logo, and the name change. So I suggested that he would talk to the two caucus chairs and bring forward so all the county board members have a good understanding of what they're doing. According to his memo to me, the name change is going to be NIREACH, and it stands for Northern Illinois Regional Affordable Community Housing. And it's just as Mr. Westcott said, it's because they are serving a larger area. So I think it's a good thing that all the county board members were notified, should be notified prior to a public announcement. So if you do receive any calls from your constituents, you know what's going on. That was the whole purpose of this. And while we're on that note, if you don't mind, Chairman, I'm starting to receive information from different departments, such as today I had Amy send out a shelter report to everybody. When I talked to the director of animal services, he said there was a little bit of a hesitation with Chairman Haney to send these reports to all the county board members. So I don't know if that meant you weren't receiving them, but I want you to be assured that any of those reports that I receive, they're going to help you as your constituents. So when you do receive calls, you should receive those reports. The same as with the Winnebago County Health Department, the liaison sends me every week reports on what's going on in the health department related to COVID-19. So I hope you received that yesterday. And if you want those distributed to every county board member weekly, I'm more than happy to do that, because I think, the more information that you have, you can relay that to your constituents if you do get calls or if you have any meetings. So is everybody okay with that if I forward these reports off to you weekly when I receive them?
I've been receiving the liaison report. Is there anybody who does not receive it? Okay, so I guess the liaison report we're getting, but
Okay.
the shelter report I've never seen before.
Okay. Well, I told the director today that I was going to forward that off to the county board members. I think it's important information. I know he said it's most of the time it's for internal use, but it is public property. So I think it's good information to have when you get calls. It's ironic, when I got that report today, I received 2 calls to the chairman's office about 2 large coyotes roaming within the city and in the county. So I think these are some good, if we can get some information on these coyotes. I mean, they were very large coyotes. The people sent me pictures of them and they were very scared today. So I think if we engage further with animal services on that issue, I don't know if it's breeding season going on right now or if it's not, but it was enough for a couple people to call me today from the county, residents. So just so you are aware of that. So I will continue to send that shelter report out as soon as I receive it for everybody's information on what's going on with the animal services. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Another thing, Mr. Chiarelli, I asked before that we get reports from Juvenile Delinquent Center too. We never have any reports on that. We don't know what the status is out there, other than that they needed a new roof, and that's about all we knew of juvenile. And I think it's very important that as board members, we also know what's going on out there.
Transparency on these reports. That's the only way you can better serve your constituency and, make informed decisions. So I think it's very important. Any department that sends me these reports, We'll contact the caucus chairs, and just like with the health department, I wasn't sure if you're receiving these liaison reports or not. So that's good information for me to have too. So we don't keep doubling up on all these emails. But I will fire them off to you guys and ladies, and you'll have what I have.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Does anyone else have anything further? Mr. McDonald?
Are we moving on to a new subject, Mr.
Yes.
Regan? Okay.
Yep.
Just in wrapping up, I just want to tell Chairman Shirley, it's refreshing to see the transparency. We know we've heard about it for a long time, but to actually receive the reports and the things that you're pushing through. I wasn't aware of some of the things that were spoke of tonight with sales being denied, I believe is what you said. It's refreshing to actually see it in action. And I thank you for doing that for us. I think all 20 of us will greatly be able to serve our constituents better having all the information, and thank you for doing that.
No problem.
Okay. Is there any other further business for this evening? Mr. Sony?
Thank you, Chairman. And just like I say, I know it's been cumbersome here the last few meetings and stuff. And I just wanted to at least publicly announce, and at least to this committee here, to say welcome to Mr. Shirelli and our newly elected board members here, and say thank you. It's a bit refreshing. Like I say, it's been a tough go here the last few years, and I'm looking forward to better times and a new beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sony. I agree with you.
Me too.
And a thumbs up from Mr. Kelly. All right. With that, is there anything else? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Westcott, second by Mr. Sony. All those in favor?